The late, great Kobe Bryant said the job is not finished. Remember those NBA Finals? Kobe, I forgot what game it was. They won a game. And the reporter said, Kobe, your team's performance. And Kobe had this serious, this stoic look on his face. Kobe, are you not excited? Are you not happy that the team won? And Kobe said, the job's not finished. The Carolina Panthers, the job is not finished. But I apologize to the late, great Kobe Bryant, because we're going to get excited about this thing, because when was the last time the Carolina Panthers played this much meaningful football? You tell me. Steve Wilkes, yeah, it goes last. Steve turned that thing around. But since the Cam Newton, Ron Rivera era, it's been very little meaningful football. So my goodness, these gentlemen are one win away from securing a playoff berth. We're going to celebrate this thing and talk about it. College football playoffs. I got some questions about these college football playoffs. I don't know if they got the 12 best teams. I don't know, y'all. I don't know. And then I got some questions about this Hall of Fame, this basketball Hall of Fame, the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame. Some of these names I'm seeing. And where is Chris Paul? Is Chris Paul done? Is it? We haven't even reached the halfway point of the NBA season. There's plenty of it. But is anyone going to pick up Chris Paul? Let's talk about that and more on this episode of the Coach Cherry Show.
That's my energy. Yeah, that's my energy. That's my energy. Yeah, that's my energy. Oh my, I fly higher than what you're thinking. Stop your thinking, open eyes, stop your blinking. Yeah. They see it's me. Yeah. You see it's me. Yeah. Try to get with me. Yeah, that's my energy. So every time I move and I speak,
those Carolina Panthers. I predicted before the game Carolina 23, Tampa 17. Yes, I did. Go check my YouTube. Go check the YouTube short that I did before the game. I said Carolina 23, Tampa 17. So it was 23-20. I keep saying the Panthers are having one heck of a season. Y'all, they're having a season. These last two games, I don't know what's going to happen. But regardless of what happens, this has been a successful season. It has. 2 wins 2 years ago. 5 wins last year. And now they're at 8 wins. They've improved by 3 wins each year. Hats off to Dave Canales. Hats off to Ejiro Evero. I know he gets a lot of criticism for the defense. But I'm going to come back to Coach Evero. Hats off to Bryce Young. Why does the defense, when they beat the Los Angeles Rams, Matthew Stafford had a chance to lead a game-winning drive. And what happened? Derek Brown got that strip on Matthew Stafford. In other words, the defense made the stop to seal the game. Today, against Tampa, Baker Mayfield comes onto the field, plenty of time. I believe Tampa still had 2 timeouts. He's leading his team down the field for a potential game-winning drive. What happened? Lathan Ransom, rookie, gets the interception. The defense gets the stop. Now, I don't know what kind of criticism look, I'm not saying it's the number 1 defense in the NFL. I'm not even saying it's a top 5 defense. But they have showed up in big moments. You got to give Coach Evero credit for that. You got to give him credit for that. He's dialing it up. Okay, who you think, when Lathan Ransom got that interception today, who called the defense? Who called it? Who called that coverage? Coach Evero. So, you're not going to give him credit or what? You got to give him credit. Because had Tampa marched down the field and scored, you know what you'd have been saying? No. Since they got the stop, give him credit. Today, y'all, today was impressive. Because it felt like when they lost to New Orleans, like a little air was let out, a little wind was let out of their sail. Remember just last week when the Panthers went to New Orleans and lost that game, a big, big game, and they lost it. Did it not feel like some energy had been zapped from the team? It felt like, man, they might have blown it. But I think it's so impressive when you can bounce back. A good buddy of mine said his high school coach told him, don't let your last game beat you. Don't let your last game beat you now. In other words, don't let the emotions and the disappointment from the previous week carry over into this week and you lose because of last week. They bounced back. This was a playoff atmosphere. It had playoff implications. This was a playoff atmosphere, and they showed up like that. Coach Canales called them plays like that. And not only did Coach Canales call those plays like that, you know, they're trying to get the running game going, but Tampa's got a pretty good run defense, and the running game didn't go like they wanted it to. Chuba Hubbard, 6 carries for 27 yards. Rico Dowdle, 9 carries for 29 yards. Neither back had 30 yards rushing. Bryce Young, 4 carries for 20 yards. Jimmy Horn Jr. had that one little end around reverse type of play for 25 yards. The only thing I would say about today, I really want to see Jimmy Horn Jr. get involved more. I do. Kickoff return at the very least. Trevor Etienne is looking better as a punt returner. I didn't say he was great, but I do see that he is getting better. As he looked solid today as a punt returner. But there's no way we can work Jimmy Horn Jr. into the mix a little more, touching the football. Jimmy Horn Jr. Because you see the explosiveness and the toughness. Like on that end around, he could have gone out of bounds. And he said, no, I'm going to stay in bounds. I'm going to get more yardage. He picked up some more yardage off of that. He's not a big guy, but trying to break tackles. Get Jimmy Horn Jr. involved a little bit more. But the running game wasn't there. And Coach Canales, look, 20 carries, 101 yards, but it didn't come from his running backs. You look at the running backs, 15 carries, 56 yards. Yeah. I said 15 carries between Rico Dowdle and Chuba Hubbard, and together they combined for 56 yards. No touchdowns. That's not much of a running game. So what did they have to do? Bryce Young. And what did Bryce Young end up doing? Had a passer rating of 102.5. 2 touchdowns, 2 passing touchdowns, no turnovers. I said, okay, I'm not going, don't have me to start. Y'all know how I feel about Bryce Young and how he's had unfair criticism. And okay, we see how well he's playing. Tedero McMillan got back on track today. Good job, T-Mac. I heard they gave him a day off at practice this week to get his legs back. I heard they gave him, I think, Wednesday off at practice this week to kind of get his legs back under him. Good job, T-Mac. Y'all, I don't think people realize how impressive that performance was today. That was a playoff environment with playoff pressure. Because you got to remember this. If the Panthers would have lost today, at that point, they needed help. They still control their own destiny now. If they beat Seattle next week, and we know how good Seattle is, not only do we know how good Seattle is, the Panthers have to break this streak of win a game, lose a game. Win a game, lose a game. Y'all, they've been doing that since they beat the New York Jets. They've been doing that since they beat the New York Jets. And when they beat the New York Jets, they were coming off a 3-game winning streak. Right? So they beat the Jets on October 19th. The Panthers had just won 3 in a row. They beat Miami at home. They beat Dallas at home. And then they went to New Jersey and beat the Jets. That was October 19th. Since October 19th, beat the Jets, lost to Buffalo. Beat Green Bay, lost to the Saints. Beat the Falcons, lost to the Niners. Beat the Rams, lost to the Saints. Beat the Bucks. That's 9 weeks of win-loss, win-loss. They got to break that pattern next week, y'all. The pattern says they're supposed to lose next week. But if they can beat Seattle and Tampa loses to Miami, the Panthers clinch. That's all they need. They need to beat Seattle next week, and they need Tampa to lose to Miami. The Carolina-Seattle kickoff is at 1 p.m. Eastern time next week, and Tampa and Miami is also at 1 p.m. Tampa goes to Miami, so Tampa's on the road. Now, I know they're both in Florida, so it ain't, I don't know how much of a road game that is. And Tua Tagovailoa has been benched, and now Quinn Ewers is starting. As a matter of fact, Quinn Ewers started today in place of Tua Tagovailoa, and they lost to the Bengals 45-21. I just want to take a quick peek and see what Quinn Ewers did today in his first start. 20 of 30, 260 yards, no touchdowns, and 2 picks. Yeah, come on, Quinn. I need you to step it up next week. But this was his first start, so I'm going to assume he looks better each week. As a matter of fact, I'm glad that Quinn Ewers got the start today. So playing Tampa next week, he has a game under his belt. But all they have to do now is beat Seattle and Miami beat Tampa. Now, if both teams win, then it comes down to week 18 at Tampa. But what they assured themselves of, the next 2 weeks are meaningful. Even if Carolina loses next week, they're still good. They have to beat Tampa the last week of the season. They just assured these last 2 weeks are very big ball games. Bryce Young, another. It's to the point now when Bryce Young trots onto the field for a game win or a potential game-winning drive, I almost expect him to get it now. I do. Well, like when he came on the field today, when Bryce Young got on the field today, I was pretty much expecting him to get down the field. At the very least for a field goal. And Ryan Fitzgerald ended up making the game-winning field goal. But I didn't really have any doubts about what was going to happen. I didn't have any doubts. I said, he'll get him down the field. Gosh, Bryce Young is a franchise quarterback. He's making it tough for the Panthers to say no. Just being honest with y'all, he's making it very tough for the Panthers to say no. At this point, I don't know how you say he's not. Tell me a better option then. I said, tell me a better option. Because at this point, the young man is playing lights out. And he's gotten better each season. Now, you look at that game-winning drive. 7 plays, 43 yards, a little bit over 2 minutes. Look at that game-winning drive. When he got on the field, short right pass to Tommy. It's 4:46 left. Short right pass to Tommy Tremble. Short left pass to Rico Dowdle. A deep right completion to Jalen Coker. That was huge. And he dropped that thing on the dime to Jalen Coker. Ooh. Then Rico Dowdle had a no-gain run. And Rico Dowdle went up the middle, and Fitzgerald comes on and kicks the... So the 3 completions on that drive are clutch. Clutch. And the pass to Coker, yeah, to me, Bryce Young should have silenced pretty much all of the critics. What do you want from him? You tell me what you want from Bryce Young. What do you want from him? You want to see Joe Montana? What, you want to see Tom Brady or Dan Marino or John Elway? What do you want from him? What do you want? Who in college right now is coming out this better than Bryce Young? Tell me a college quarterback. You can't name one. What free agent quarterback is floating around? What backup quarterback in the NFL would you say, I'd rather have him over Bryce Young? Who? Nobody. Bryce Young, okay. You better not give up on Bryce Young. I know what I'm looking at. And Bryce Young is... If Carolina had beaten the Saints just once, this thing would be over. Gosh. If Carolina had beaten the New Orleans Saints just one time, this thing would be over. We wouldn't be having this discussion. But that's water under the bridge. No need to cry over spilt milk. All these other old sayings and whatever they mean. Now you got to beat Seattle next week because you're playing the same time as Miami and Tampa, and you don't know what the outcome of that game. See, you would know more if, let's say if Tampa and Miami were playing the 1 o'clock game and Carolina and Seattle had the 4 o'clock game. If Tampa beat Miami at 1 o'clock, if I'm Coach Canales, I know how to coach that 4 o'clock game now. Okay. Tampa just beat Miami. So it doesn't matter if we beat Seattle or not. We have to beat Tampa week 18. I'm coaching that game against Seattle. I may pull my starters at halftime. But watch this though. I'm not going to tell my starters that. Because then you play different knowing that you're not going to play a whole game. But if I know I got to beat Tampa week 18, yeah, Bryce Young's coming out at halftime. I tell you what I may do. They may play one possession of the third quarter, and that's it. Bryce Young's out, Rico Dowdle, Teteroy McMillan, Chuba Hubbard. Those guys are out. Those guys are out. Or while I'm coaching this 1 o'clock game against Seattle, you let me find out Tampa Bay is blowing Miami out. Tampa's going into the fourth quarter. They're up on the Miami Dolphins 34-3. Oh, Bryce and them, y'all come on out. Come on out. Huh? Come on out. You don't get beat up for all that. No, for nothing. Rico Dowdle goes for over 1,000 yards. Congratulations. That's his second 1,000-yard season. Carolina's 8-7. Tampa is 7-8. 2 weeks of regular season football left. This is what Hornets fans have wanted. Meaningful games. Whether the Panthers make the playoffs or not, they got you dialed in for all 18 weeks. This is what Hornets and Panthers fans have been asking for. Now, obviously, we want to go to the playoffs. We know that. But what we've been asking for most importantly is just give us meaningful games. And that's what the Panthers are doing. Hornets, you're on the clock. The Panthers have us tuned in all 18 weeks. Because normally at this time, we're talking NFL draft. Who are the Panthers going to get? Do they have the first pick, the second pick, the fifth pick? Do they need a lineman? Do they need a running back? Do they need a defensive end? That's normally what the conversation is with the Panthers at this time. Not now. Nobody. I don't know how much I've heard about the Panthers draft coming up. All the focus is playoff football, as it should be. Let's find out what they do these next 2 weeks. Speaking of playoff football, this college playoff system. I don't know about this, y'all. You talking about the college football playoffs? Yeah, I don't know about this college football playoffs. I'm going to keep my eye on that. I'm going to keep my eye on this college football playoffs. What are you saying, Coach Chair? First of all, the Alabama-Oklahoma game was outstanding. I thought, I'll be honest, when Oklahoma jumped on Alabama 17-0, I said, yeah, this thing might be over. I made the wrong pick. I'm doing a little bracket thing with some of my buddies from college, and I picked Alabama to beat Oklahoma. And I said, I almost picked Oklahoma because they're playing at home. I was like, when they're playing at home, I might pick Oklahoma. But I said, the brand. Coach Cherry, tell me why you picked Alabama. I'm glad you asked that question. The brand. Boy, I know what I'm talking about. Let me switch hats since I'm not talking about the Panthers anymore. Let me switch hats. Let me switch hats on you. Okay. Got my dad going on. World Series champs. Coach Chair, why did you pick Alabama? Because of the brand? See, there's something about that championship pedigree. Oh, that means something. You don't think that means something? Yes, it does. Some of those guys on Oklahoma's team did not believe they could beat Alabama simply because of Alabama. The name Alabama. Oh, I'm convinced of that. There are some guys on Oklahoma's team. Now, when Oklahoma went up 17-0, they were in a good space. But as soon as Alabama scored that first touchdown and they started closing the gap, I'm guaranteeing you some of those Oklahoma players started to have doubts. Like, oh my gosh, it's Alabama. I don't know about Brent Venables. I don't know if the coach had doubts because he's a heck of a coach. That's another reason I picked Alabama. I give Kalen DeBoer a slight coaching edge over Brent Venables. I do. I give DeBoer a slight edge. After what DeBoer did at Washington, taking them to the national championship, yeah, I give DeBoer the edge. So that's another reason I picked him. But that championship pedigree, Oklahoma doesn't. Yeah, they do have national titles. We all know not as many as Alabama. The expectation every season for Alabama is national championship. That's the expectation. That's not the expectation for Oklahoma. Oklahoma was fine just getting to the playoffs. Yes, they were. The Oklahoma Sooners, they were fine just getting to the playoffs. So I don't know if Oklahoma went into these playoffs thinking national title. That's what Alabama's thinking. I don't care what seed Alabama has. I promise you, they are thinking national championship. That's why I picked them. I picked Miami to beat Texas Tech. I'm sorry, Texas A&M. Same thing. Texas A&M, outstanding season. That's not a championship culture. The U, that's championship. Now, I know Miami hasn't won a national title in a while since Butch Davis and those guys, but still, they're thinking national championship. I'm picking Miami. And both of those games, the road team won. That tells you how strong championship pedigree is. Miami went to Texas A&M, College Station. Give us that W. Alabama went to Oklahoma. Give us that W. Championship culture. But my big question with the playoffs is, do we have the 12 best teams? Y'all, I'm gonna be honest with you. And I'm trying to, even as I talk to you, I'm trying to understand this playoff system. Not just for college football, but also college basketball. I'm trying to understand how I want it to look. Someone said, do you not want inclusiveness? I do. I think the issue that I have is you're saying reward a team for winning their conference. Because winning your conference means you've had a good season. I got it. But what about another team that had a good season and did not win their conference? What's their reward? For example, let's take James Madison. Here we go. James Madison won their conference. Congratulations. I want to ask you this question about James Madison. I want to ask you this question. What is more impressive? What's more impressive? James Madison winning their conference? James Madison, I want to tell you the teams that they beat this year. James Madison beat Weber State, Liberty, Georgia Southern, Georgia State, Louisiana, Old Dominion, Texas State, Marshall, App State, Washington State, Coastal Carolina, and Troy. Those are the teams they beat. They did play an ACC opponent in Louisville, and they lost 28-14. It's not a terrible loss, but they lost 28-14. Now, let me ask you this question. Is that more impressive than Texas? Texas did not win the SEC. They did not. But Texas beat number 6 Oklahoma, a team that was in the playoffs. Texas beat them 23-6. The question I'm asking is this. Is James Madison winning their conference more impressive than Texas beating in Oklahoma, a playoff team? I'm not done. Texas also beat Texas A&M, a playoff team. So you're saying inclusiveness, but I'm looking at resumes. Huh? When people apply for a job, don't we look at resumes? Now, maybe some jobs do say, hey, this person has the better resume, but I want inclusiveness, so I'm going to take this person. I'm sure that does happen on the job. Is that fair? That's another discussion for another day. But when I look at Texas's resume and James Madison's resume, Texas, okay, James Madison, a great season, James Madison. You won your conference. You beat Troy, you beat App State, you beat Coastal Carolina, you beat Washington State, you beat Georgia Southern, you beat all those things. But I'm looking at Texas and I'm saying, now wait a minute. Texas beat Texas A&M. And Texas A&M is a playoff team. Wait a minute. Texas beat Oklahoma. And Oklahoma is a playoff team. Wait a minute. Texas beat Vanderbilt, who was number 9 in the country at that time. Y'all sure that James Madison has the better resume? That's interesting. Y'all sure Tulane has a better... I know Tulane won their conference. I got it. Out of all the games Tulane won in their conference, tell me a win, just one, that they had that was as good as Texas beating Oklahoma. That was as good as Texas beating Vanderbilt. That was as good as Texas beating Texas A&M. Tell me one win that Tulane had. So why is Texas sitting at home? If you're going to do it that way, then don't say you have the 12 best teams, because you don't. You think James Madison would beat Texas in a playoff game? Stop that. You know better than that. That game wouldn't even be close. You think Tulane would beat Notre Dame or Texas in a playoff game when it wouldn't even be competitive? This is not college basketball. College basketball, we see Cinderella stories. And I'll be honest with you, I kind of feel the same way about college basketball. If a Maryland is left out, but the winner of a smaller conference goes in, that team is not better than Maryland. Maryland played a much tougher schedule. But college basketball can justify it. How, Coach Cherry? Because you see a VCU go to the Final Four. And you can justify, that's why we invite smaller schools. That's why we have the inclusiveness. You see a Florida Atlantic go to the Final Four. You see a San Diego State go to the Final Four. That happens all the time in basketball. When you look at the history of the Final Four, it's so many schools that can say they've been to a Final Four. Now, you ain't going to see that with college football. There's some schools that are never going to be in the Final Four of a college football player. It just ain't going to happen because football is a much different. I'm looking at college basketball. What we got here? Duquesne has been to a Final Four. Who else we got here? Dartmouth. Yes, Dartmouth has been to a Final Four. Wyoming. I mean, all these schools at NYU, New York University, has been to a Final Four. Holy Cross has been to a Final Four. At some point, you can look at all these programs. UNC Charlotte has been to a Final Four. Santa Clara. I mean, it's almost like at some point, if you play college basketball long enough, you're going to be in a Final Four. Football? No. Not happening with football. You can play for 80 years with a football program. If you're a little football program, you're not going to a Final Four. You can forget about that. I said you can forget about that. When you do playoffs, is it about the best teams or is it just strictly about inclusiveness? And if it is about inclusiveness, then just say that. Just say, hey, with the 12-team college football playoff, we're going to pick the 10 best teams, and then we're going to pick 2 teams that we just kind of want to be there. So we're going to leave out 2 other teams that deserve to be there, like Texas should be in, Notre Dame should be in, because Texas beat 2 of the teams in our field. but we want to include everybody, some other schools, so we're going to have to ask Texas and Notre Dame to stay home. What? So now a Steve Sarkisian, a Marcus Freeman, they're thinking, well, wait a minute, hold on a second. We're getting left out so that you can include a small school? I don't know about that, y'all. I don't know about that. The only way I think you can justify that is if these smaller schools start pulling off some upsets. In basketball, the smaller schools have shown if you give us a shot, we can make a deep run at this thing. We can be competitive. Football, they have never shown that. When? You think a Tulane or a James Madison is going to win 2 or 3 playoff games? That's not happening. They're not going to win 1. When has it happened? No, we got to stop that, y'all. The NFL, when you look at other professional leagues, the NFL says the division winners get an automatic bid. That can be on shaky stuff too now. Because some divisions, there have been some years, some of these divisions are weak. And they get a bid to the playoffs because they won their division. It was a weak division that year and they won it. And there's another team sitting at home that was a much better team back in the day when they played 16 games. There could be an 11. I remember one year the Patriots, the year that Tom Brady tore his ACL, Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots went 11-5 and did not go to the playoffs. At 11-5. And then you get some division winner can go below 500. They won their division and they're in the playoffs. That's not right. No, it's not. It's not right. The NBA does it the right way. Just because you win your division in the NBA does not guarantee you a playoff spot. It doesn't. You have to have one of the top 8 records in your conference. Now, winning the division title in the NBA can be a tiebreaker. If you're in a tie with somebody, now the division title means something. But the NBA says, who has the best 8 records, overall records? Okay, well, that's what we're taking. Did all y'all play each other? Because in the NBA, obviously, you play everybody more than once. All y'all played each other. Okay, who has the best record? Well, we're taking those teams. What's the problem? We're taking those teams. Those teams have the best record. They're in. I will say this about the college football playoffs. I did like to see James Madison. It's exciting. Initially, it's exciting to see a James Madison there. It's exciting to see a Tulane. It is exciting. But that excitement is over very quickly. It's over quick, y'all. I just want to see the best teams invited. And maybe, the talk of expanding it to 16, because I think if you expand it to 16, which to me, I think the number is getting too high. I don't really want to see 16, but one thing I will say about expanding to 16, if you do that, you are guaranteed to have the top 12 teams. And if you want the other 4 spots for inclusiveness, then have at it. Because really, it's only about everybody can't win the national title. So if you're going to invite 16 teams, all those teams aren't championship contenders. I'm just saying, if someone is deserving of a playoff spot, give them a playoff spot. But I think they got to go back to the drawing board with how they select these teams. Speaking of selections, I saw the candidates for the next class of the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame. I did. I saw the candidates, y'all. I got some questions. I do. I'm just saying, I got some questions. That's all I'm saying. And looking at this, as a kid growing up, the Hall of Fame to me, I felt like, man, you got to be really good to get into the Hall of Fame. Magic Johnson, one of the best players we've ever seen. Larry Bird, Larry Legend, one of the best players we've ever seen. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Dr. J, Michael Jordan. as a kid, those are the names when I think Hall of Fame, I think, man, you're one of the best to ever do it. And then I started seeing some players get in. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, hold on. First of all, let me also say this. I think there should be an NBA Hall of Fame, period. Not a basketball Hall of Fame. Yeah, I played 10 years in Turkey and I was the Turkish MVP for 10 seasons. And now I'm in the Basketball Hall of Fame with Michael Jordan. Stop that. Who did that? No, man, we got to cut that out. That has to be stopped. You're in the same Basketball Hall of Fame as Michael Jordan. No. And you didn't play 1 minute of NBA basketball? Now, that needs to stop. The NBA should have their own Hall of Fame. The WNBA should have their own Hall of Fame. College basketball should have its own Hall of Fame. International basketball should have its own Hall of Fame. Huh? We're lumping all these people together? I played 5 years in the ABA and 6 years in the NBA and 3 years over in Poland. And I'm in the NBA, I'm in the basketball. Man, come on. That's silly stuff. We're getting silly. Some of that stuff is silly, y'all. So I look at some of these names and I'm going to also say this. If you're going into the Basketball Hall of Fame, you should be a household name. I think you should be a household name. For people, maybe not to the common fan, but for people that follow basketball, they should know who you are. People that consistently watch basketball, and they've been doing that for years, they should know who you are. And you're in the Hall of Fame? How do they not know who you are? Like, I look at some of these names for this Hall of Fame nomination. Rick Barnes, Gene Bartow, Tom Chambers, Jamal Crawford, Joey Crawford, Terry Cummings, Bobby Dibbler, Mark Few, Robert Foley, Mike Jaminski, Blake Griffin, Anthony Hardaway. I don't know who Robert Foley is. I don't know who Bobby Dibbler is. I know everybody else. These guys have the potential to go in the same Hall of Fame as Michael Jordan and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Bill Russell and Jerry West and Wilt Chamberlain. They're going to be in the same Hall of Fame. Okay. I mean, if y'all say so, I mean, you feel like they should be in the same Hall of Fame? Yeah, I don't know about that. I see Herman Harriet, Robert Horry, Marcus Hauptman, Joe Johnson, Kevin Johnson, Marv Kessler, Bill Laimbeer, Mike Leonardo, Maurice Lucas. Yeah, I know Maurice Lucas. Jack Madden, Sean Marion, Rolly Massimino. Same Hall of Fame as Pat Riley and Phil Jackson. Boy, y'all putting all of them in the same Hall of Fame. Wow. I don't think the NFL Hall of Fame seems a little tougher to get into. Like, if I'm going to the same Hall of Fame with Jerry Rice and Jim Brown, I got to be a heck of a player. I got to be one heck of a player to go in that Hall of Fame with Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. And I was some quarterback that was a Pro Bowler 3 times and never made a Super Bowl. And I see guys on this Basketball Hall of Fame that never played in the finals. I didn't say win a championship. I see guys that never played for a championship, and they're going in the Hall of Bob McKillop, Gary McKnight, Paul Michalak, Steve Moore, Bill Morris, Dick Motta, Tom Murphy, Jack Nagel, Bruce Pearl, Jim Phelan, Donald Richardson, Doc Rivers. When I think of Hall of Fame, I said some older players. Let me move it current. LeBron James. And I'm just thinking off the top of my head. Today's game. I'm talking about guys that are putting on jerseys right now. LeBron James, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, Nikola Jokic, Luka Doncic, Klay Thompson, James Harden, I'm so elite with the Hall of Fame that James Harden is not a lock for me. Okay? I'm talking about for me, if I were doing the Hall of Fame, I don't know if James Harden I don't know if I put James Harden in there with Kevin Durant. So you're telling me James Harden is on the same level career-wise? Because we're talking about them going to the same Hall of Fame, y'all. James Harden is on the same level as Kevin Durant? Well, no, nobody said he's as good as Kevin. Well, you put him in the Hall of Fame together. You're putting him in the same Hall of Fame. You're telling me James Harden is on the same level as LeBron James because you're going to put him in the same Hall of Fame. He's on the same level as Steph Curry because you're putting them in there together. And maybe there should be tiers. Can we do that? Can we put tiers of the Hall of Fame? Because I don't know about some of this stuff. And I'm looking at the class of 2026, the North America nominees. You see I'm scratching my head on some of these. What we got here? Dave Robbins, Lee Rose, Brandon Roy, Kelvin Sampson. Brandon Roy, without the knee injuries, Brandon Roy was going to be an all-time great. Scott Skiles, Harry Statham, Amari Stoudemire, Jerry Welsh, Buck Williams, Sheldon Williams. Y'all, I mean, and I understand that everybody that's nominated is not going to get in. Is there you tell me, maybe there's a part of Sheldon Williams' career I missed. Talking about the Sheldon Williams that he's a nominee for the Hall of Fame? I don't know, man. They need some separate Hall of Fames, y'all. This ain't it. This ain't it right here. They need separate Hall of Fames. Because, yeah, I don't know about that. Chris Paul, future Hall of Famer. Is anybody going to sign Chris Paul? Chris Paul, y'all, now you look at Chris Paul's resume. Strong resume. You're talking about somebody who is second all-time in assists and steals in NBA history. 12-time NBA All-Star, NBA All-Star Game MVP, 4-time first team All-NBA, 5-time second team, 2-time third team, 7-time first team All-Defense. Chris Paul is 40 years old. He'll be 41 in May. He's already said this is the last season. Who should pick up Chris Paul? Is he a lot to deal with? Not clearly he's on the decline. He's not going to come in and give you 20 points and 9 assists. He ain't doing all that. Can he be a good backup point guard and a good mentor to younger players? Somebody asked me this. They said, Coach Chair, what do you think about the Charlotte Hornets signing Chris Paul? My only concern is this. Charlotte has a young nucleus. LaMelo Ball, Brandon Miller, Con Knipple, Miles Bridges. That's the core of their team. I guess you could throw a Ryan Kalkbrenner in there in the middle, but he's not a perimeter player. But that's the core of their team. I'm only going based off what I've heard. It sounds like Chris Paul is a lot to deal with. Now, they say it's because he holds people accountable. I would love for LaMelo Ball to have a mentor. And I think Chris Paul clearly has the resume, the credibility, the IQ, the intelligence to be an excellent mentor. But for whatever reason, it seems like each stop he rubs people the wrong way. Now, it may not matter with the Hornets because they're not really winning like that anyway. So it could be a thing of, what can he mess up? They're not winning. This is year 6 for LaMelo Ball, and they haven't been to a playoffs yet. I didn't say they haven't won a playoff series. They haven't even been to the playoffs. Could Chris Paul help with LaMelo? They seem so different, and LaMelo's game is nothing like Chris Paul's. He's a bigger guard. You know, I'm sure there's a lot Chris Paul could teach LaMelo. I don't want it to cause any friction or division among the team. I don't know. Chris Paul with the Hornets to be sort of a mentor to LaMelo. And not just LaMelo, but all the younger players. Doesn't have to just be the point guard. He can just kind of show guys how to be a professional. Who's the veteran on Charlotte's team that's showing these younger guys, hey, here's how you act as a pro. Here's how you conduct business on the day. Who is that guy for the Hornets? Who is it? I don't know. I'm asking. Who's the veteran? It ain't LaMelo. It ain't Brandon Miller or Con Knipple just got there. It's not Miles Bridges. I mean, all them guys are in their 20s. They're learning together. It ain't Kalkbrenner. It ain't Sion James or Liam McNeely. It ain't Trey Mann. These are all young players. Who is it? Moussa Diabate? No. So maybe Chris Paul could provide that. I don't know, y'all. I would like... that is something to think about. You got to sleep on that one. Because one thing I will say about the Charlotte Hornets, it looks like they enjoy playing with each other. I know that might not always equate to wins, but it looks like they really enjoy playing with each other. And while you're trying to win games, you don't want to lose that. I don't know if I would sign Chris Paul to the Hornets. I don't know. I'm leaning towards a no. I'm just telling you, I'm leaning towards a no. But we'll see. I think he should land somewhere. Somebody needs to sign him. I just don't think it should be the Hornets. That's it for this episode of the Coach Cherry Show. Don't forget to check out my YouTube page throughout the week. I'm posting YouTube shorts almost daily. My other platforms, Instagram, X or Twitter, whatever they want to call it, Coach Cherry 93. Coach Cherry 93 on Instagram, Twitter, X, whatever, and TikTok. Okay? If you're listening by audio, Apple Podcasts, Samsung Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Patreon, and Amazon Music. Until next time, signing off, this is Coach Cherry. God bless you.
So I move to the front, not the back seat. Run my own race, you won't catch me. Follow my passion and see. Let it breathe. Came a long way from minimum wage. Started flipping burgers at minimum age. I ain't make a lot, but at least I was paid. Helped my confidence, regular haircuts turned into fades. Now a big smile like I'm winning in spades.